بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Kashf al-Murad. And as you remember, we were talking about arguments for proving knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Khaja very briefly mentioned three arguments. والإحكام والتجرد واستناد كل شيء إليه دلائل العلم. To see that there is ihkam in this creation. Everything is firmly put in the right place. Because you cannot have firmness unless you put it in the right place, the right measure, right time. Everything has to be proper. We already talked about the first argument. The second argument was about tajarrud. It means to be mujarrad, to be immaterial. And the third was tinadu kulli shay'in ilay. The fact that everything is related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we have to resume with second argument, tajarrud. Before we enter the commentary by Allama Hilli rahmatullah alayh, we should remind ourselves of what we studied in philosophy, that kullu mujarradin fahuwa aqil. Everything which is mujarrad, everything which is immaterial is also intelligent. Because madde, when something is material like a wood, like a piece of, soil or a piece of metal, anything which is madde, even our body, has no even understanding of itself, let alone things which are outside. And the late Imam Khomeini, in his letter to Gorbachev, mentioned that, for example, if there is a statue, this part of a statue is not aware of the other part of a statue. Even they are not aware of themselves. So there is no knowledge in material things. But when something is not material, then they have knowledge. Why? Because what is knowledge? Again, over there in philosophy we have said, knowledge is حضور المعلوم لدى العالم or حضور صورة المعلوم لدى العالم. If it is knowledge by presence, is ilm al-huduri, then ma'loom is present by itself. Like my knowledge of my joy, when I am joyful, not I am thinking about joy that I had yesterday. That's not ilm huzuri. But at the moment that I feel a kind of joy or hope or fear, that understanding is knowledge by presence, because that feeling, that experience is present for my nafs, or my knowledge of my nafs again. But in ilm husuli is hudur surat al-ma'loom lad al-alim. There is an image of ma'loom which is present for the knower. And when we say surah doesn't mean the same for everyone. Surah to kulli shay'in bihasabih. It can be image of God. It can even from God we have an image, not really God, unless you have ilm huzuri about God, like mystics or. So, if there is mujarrad, then this mujarrad is present for itself, so has knowledge of itself, and has knowledge of other things which are there because they are present for it. And therefore, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is absolutely immaterial, There is no way to think that anything is not present for him. How can something be absent from its creator? It doesn't make any sense. How can, for example, your mental image be absent from you? Even if you say, maybe it's in mind, but I'm not paying attention, I would say this doesn't work, because if you don't pay attention, it cannot exist. It can only exist if you want it and if you pay attention to it. If you forget, it disappears. So Allah, as long as keeps us in His will and knowledge, we are there. Otherwise, we don't need to be destroyed. We are nothing. So this is the second argument. Al-wajhu thani. The second argument. أنه تعالى مجرد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mujarrad, is abstract, is immaterial. وكل مجرد عالم بذاته وبغيره. Everything which is mujarrad is aware of its own essence and it's aware of others. If there is anything else, they are aware. Because there is no sense of thinking something can be absent for them. Because they are not limited to any space. Yeah, so it's not that a wall or a barrier can make them unaware. Amma suqra, the minor premise, which is Allah is mujarrad. So we say God is mujarrad, immaterial, and everything which is immaterial has knowledge of itself and the essence. Salam alaikum. So the first part is God is mujarrad. Why you say God is mujarrad? It says, فَإِنَّهَا وَإِنْ كَانَتْ ظَاهِرَةً. Although it is obvious that God is mujarrad, no one can say God is maddi, but still we will discuss about it later. When we are talking about some negational or salbiya attributes, we will say that God has no jism, has no place, he is not material. So, amma suqra, so the minor premise, which is God is mujarrad, because we said God is mujarrad and every mujarrad is aware, yes. So, the minor premise that God is mujarrad, فَإِنَّهَا وَإِنْ كَانَتْ ظَاهِرَةً, although it is obvious, لَكِنْ بَيَانُهَا يَأْتِي فِي مَا بَعْدٍ, but also still we will explain it later. عند الاستدلال على كونه تعالى ليس بجسم ولا جسماني, when we argue later for Allah not being a physical body or being bodily. So he's not jism, means he's not a physical body, physical object, and he's not jismani, means there is no bodily elements. كونه تعالى ليس بجسم ولا جسمانية. You understand the difference between jism and jismani? Jism means body, physical. Jismani means something which is attributed to jism. For example, we as body have some properties. Yeah, like maybe we have color. Color is not jism, but color is jismani, is a bodily property. Allah doesn't have physical, and doesn't have bodily attributes. Or weight, for example. Weight is not jism, but weight is jismani, is attribute. So, the fact that Allah is mujarrad, which is suqra, is clear, but still we will have some discussion about it. But what about kubra, which was كل مجرد عالم بذاته وبغيره. This is what actually we need to discuss here. Yes, the major premise. أما الكبرى فلأن كل مجرد, because every immaterial thing فإن ذاته حاصلة لذاته, Every mujarrad, its essence is present for itself. Mujarrad is not present for something else. Mujarrad is present for itself. حاصلة لذاته لا لغيره. Okay? So, كل مجرد. So if it is hasil, if it is existing for itself, this is the meaning of knowledge. Because it is حضور المعلوم لدى العالم. It is present for itself, so ma'lum is itself. So it's basically aware of itself. Mujarrad is aware of itself. كل مجرد حصل له مجرد فإنه عاقل لذلك المجرد. Every mujarrad, that another mujarrad is present for it, it means that it's aware of it. Because knowledge is not other than حضور. Either حضور المعلوم لدى العالم or حضور الصورة المعلوم لدى العالم. حضور المعلوم لدى العالم is knowledge by presence, علم الحضوري. حضور الصورة المعلوم لدى العالم is علم حصولي. Yeah, conceptual. كل مجرد حصل له مجردون فإنه عاقل لذلك المجرد. Every immaterial thing for whom another mujarrad, another immaterial thing is present, is aware of that. Why? Because لأننا لا نعني بالتعقل. Because we don't mean by understanding إلا الحصول. Because knowledge is nothing other than حصول. To have something with you. فإذن كل مجرد فإنه عاقل لذاته. So every immaterial thing understands itself because it is present for itself. It exists for itself. Okay? It's not hidden from itself. This part is not very difficult. But now, to say that it is also aware of others. This part. أما أن كل مجرد عالم بغيره. This was about عالم بذاته. But to say that every material thing is also knowledgeable of others. فلأن كل مجرد أمكن أن يكون معقولا وحده وكل ما يمكن أن يكون معقولا وحده أمكن أن يكون معقولا مع غيره. Every mujarrad can be understood, can be intelligible on its own, and also if there is something else along with it. So if there is something along with that, that can also be understood and can be something to which our knowledge belongs. So he wants to say that because it has knowledge of itself and it is known to itself, so if there are other things with it, they are also known to mujarrad, created by that. Because every mujarrad, every immaterial thing is possible to be ma'qulan wahdah, yeah, to be understood by itself when it is alone. وَكُلُّ مَا يُمْكِنُ أَنْ يَكُونَ مَعْقُولًا وَحْدَهُ. And everything that can be understood when it is alone can also be understood when it is with something else. We say this many times. حُكْمُ الْأَمْثَالِ فِيمَا يَجُوزُ وَفِيمَا لَا يَجُوزُ وَاحِدٌ. When two things are similar, of course, similarity has to be in what is bearing on the case. So if two things are similar, for example, we have two individuals of the same type. For example, two human beings. If something is possible for them because he is a human being, then should be also possible for the other one because that is also a human being. Okay? حُكْمُ الْأَمْثَالِ فِيمَا يَجُوزُ وَفِيمَا لَا يَجُوزُ وَاحِدٌ. And if a human being cannot, for example, fly because it's a human being, then other human beings also cannot fly. So anything which is possible or impossible should be similar. If something can be known when it's alone, it should be also the same when it is with something else, because to be alone or to be the same are similar in this case. أمكن أن يكون معقولا مع غيره وكل مجرد يعقل مع غيره فإنه عاقل لذلك الغير. So every معقول, every mujarrad is معقول with other things, because it exists with other things. Therefore, when mujarrad is aware of itself as ma'qul, it is aware of other things which are with it as ma'qul. Although we are aqil and ma'qul here are the same, because we are talking about mujarrad being aware of itself. But when with mujarrad itself there are other things, they become also known to this mujarrad. فَإِنَّهُ عَاقِلٌ لِذَلِكَ الْغَيْرِ. But you may say, why you say they are known? They are ma'qul. Ma'qul means understood, known. أما ثبوت المعقولية لكل مجرد فظاهر. We say every mujarrad is ma'qul, because not only كل مجرد عاقل, but also ilm is also not mujarrad. Therefore we had this discussion, اتحاد العقل والعاقل والمعقول. All of them are mujarrad. Aqil is mujarrad, ma'qul is mujarrad, and aql is also mujarrad. ثبوت المعقولية لكل مجرد فظاهر لأن المانع من التعقل, because what can be a problem for understanding is madde. Pardon? So, for example, when it comes to us, we are aware of material things through our mental images, which are mujarrad. And if you remember, we said al-ma'lumu bil-dhat is not what is outside. That is ma'lumu bil-aras. What is primarily known to us is our mental image, which is mujarrad. When it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't have mind and concepts like us. Everything is present for Him because they belong to Him, because they depend on Him. But when it comes to us, either they have to be present for us or they have to be known indirectly through our mental images. لأن المانع من التعقل أنما هو المادة لا غير. What is a problem, what is an obstacle for understanding is madde, nothing else. أما صحة التقارن في المعقولية. We said it's possible to be with something else. فلأن كل معقول فإنه لا ينفك عن الأمور العامة. Because every ma'qul, everything which is understood, is not separated from the general properties that we have. أما وجوب العاقلية حينئذ. But why we say it must be aqil, must be aware? فلأن إمكان مقارنة المجرد للغير لا يتوقف على الحضور في العقل. Because the possibility of mujarrad being with something else does not depend on presence in aql. Because لأنه نوع من المقارنة. Because this is one type of coexistence. There can be different types of coexistence. فيتوقف إمكان الشيء على ثبوته فعلا وهو باطل. So, if you say that something is possible if it exists, then it will be a problem. So, إمكان المقارنة هو إمكان التعقل. So, if there is muqarana, there must be ta'aqqul. Otherwise, it means that you are saying something which leads to contradiction, to having imkan based on existence, and existence cannot be a condition for imkan. It must be the other way around. A little bit is not very straightforward, but I think the way I explained it, inshallah, should make it clear. If you want, I can go back. But the main argument is, as I said, that if everything is possible to be known, everything mujarrad, alone, then when it is with other things also can be known. And therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is known to himself when he is alone, and Allah is known to himself when he has other things with him, which is his creation. And you cannot say he is only known when he is alone. وفي هذا الوجه أبحاث مذكورة في كتبنا العقلية. There are many discussions about this second argument, because this is more discussed in philosophy and in intellectual books. So he doesn't go any further about this. الوجه الثالث أن كل موجود سواه ممكن. The issue of istinad. Everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mumkin. Yeah, because contingent. Because we have only one wajib wujud. Everything else contingent. Okay, if they are contingent, so they must have something to give them existence. So they all rely on something that directly or indirectly, at the end, is going back to wajib wujud. Okay? أن كل موجود سواه ممكن على ما يأتي في باب الوحدانية. Everything other than Allah is contingent, as we will discuss later, that He is the only wajib wujud, the only God is the God the Almighty. So, if everything else is ممكن, كل ممكن فإنه مستند إلى الواجب. Every ممكن depends on wajib. Either ibtida'an, like first cause and the first effect. Suppose you have one cause and one effect. Or if you have one cause and many effects, but the very first effect, which is sadira awwal, the very first thing which is issued, that is directly connected. But if there is effect of the cause, and therefore you have two causes, the ultimate cause and the one lower, which is the immediate cause of the one which is in the bottom, then there is no direct connection. But in any case, either ibtida'an or biwasa'it, or through something which is in medium, as a medium, they are all dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَدْ سَلَفَ أَنَّ الْعِلْمَ بِالْعِلَّةِ يَسْتَلْزِمُ الْعِلْمَ بِالْمَعْلُومِ. And we have said before, not in the part that we discussed. We discussed it in philosophy, but here in previous sections of the book, when he talks about causality and knowledge, he says that if you know illah, you know ma'lul. If I want to give you a very simple example, if you know sun, you know radiations of the sun. If you know someone's knowledge, you know what type of books or lectures that person can write. Yeah? So anything you know about the cause would lead to knowing effects of that cause. So, أن العلم بالعلة يستلزم العلم بالمعلوم. If you have knowledge of something, so suppose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 10 things under him in a hierarchical way. When the first one is directly created by him and connected to him, he knows it immediately. But then through the first one, he knows the second. Through the second, he knows the third. And all of them are connected. Of course, in some lectures I have explained that the way we understand from the Quran is that Because this is the way our mind understands. But the way we understand from the Quran is that this is true, but at the same time, his knowledge of everything is direct. This mental, image should not make you think that Allah has to know things through means and indirectly. So it's not that, for example, the first effect knows the second better than Allah himself. Because the first knows directly and Allah knows indirectly. This is totally wrong. Everything, even if they are after 1 million times connected to Allah, are immediately known to Him.
7.5 billion people.
Yes.
Every one.
Every one of them directly. Yes. So, وَقَدْ سَلَفَ means in the past it was discussed أَنَّ الْعِلْمَ بِالْعِلَّةِ يَسْتَلْزِمُ الْعِلْمَ بِالْمَعْلُولِ. Knowledge about cause requires knowledge about ma'lul effect. وَاللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَالِمٌ بِذَاتِهِ. Allah is the cause. So if he is aware of himself, he must be aware of all his effects. فَهُوَ عَالِمٌ بِغَيْرِهِ. Because غير, in our case, is creation of Allah. We don't have anything other than creation of Allah. So everything is ma'lul. So he must be aware of them. The second argument is not very maybe clear, unfortunately. Even Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh has three different versions of one of the key, words over there. This has made it a little bit ambiguous. But I hope, inshallah, it was clear. The concept, I hope, was clear. But if you have any problem, again, we can discuss it, inshallah, next week. After mobile, so yes. Yes. Yeah. Because these images that we bring in our mind, they help from certain aspects, but they can be misguiding from other aspects. Because as soon as I say hierarchy, you think that this hierarchy is like a physical hierarchy. And therefore, when you come down, you have a distance. But you have to think of a hierarchy which can be at the same time the whole hierarchy present. Like, for example, if in your mind right now, I tell you, think of a father who is holding the hand of his child. Okay? So although father and child are like cause and effect, of course father is al-i'dadi, but it's like a cause. But for you, both of them are present at the same time. So you are aware that this is father and that is son, but it's not that you are aware of the son through the father. Or father is known to you before you know the son. Understand? So any way that you want to understand relation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the world, you have to be very careful, not unconsciously you let that image limit your understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Imam Baqir said, كُلَّمَا مَيَّزْتُمُوهُ بِأَوْهَامِكُمْ فِي أَدَقِّ مَعَانِيهِ فَهُوَ مَخْلُوقٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. Anything, even no matter how much you articulate, you think about God, and I add about relation of God and the creation, anything that you have, it's your creation. And Allah is greater than that. So we have to be very careful when we use these examples, these amthal, these parables. وَالْأَخِيرُ عَامٌ. Khaji rahmatullah alayhi, after he mentioned three arguments ihkam, tajarrud, istinad. Then he says, wal akhirut. The last one is is general. Means istinad is general. What does it mean? It means that from this we can understand that he knows everything. Because everything is dependent on him. Maybe maybe others the same, but for the third it's very obvious. Because maybe someone says, I don't know, for example, how he knows about maddiyat. Can you explain? Or for example, I don't know many parts of the world, so how can I be sure that they are mutqan, they are muhkam? But this one is easier to understand.
There is actually a hierarchy in creation itself.
Yes.
In the sense that insan is the top of the hierarchy. That's what we like to say. That's within the creation.
Yeah. But we said that some other places that insan is not necessarily the highest in creation. Insan can be. But by birth, yes, by birth we are just better than many, not every. Yes. وَفَضَّلْنَاهُ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. But you have the potential. Your creation is the best creation. So أحسن الخالقين. People make mistake. They say because Allah said أحسن الخالقين after talking about creation of human beings, so it means we are the best makhluk. I say no. Our creation is the best creation. Not that we are the best creature. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. So our creation is the best, but we are not the best. And the example of, you remember, computer that can upgrade itself. So it's not right now the best computer, but it can upgrade itself and become the best. So, الوجه الأخير من الأدلة الثلاثة. The last point, the last argument from these last three things that we mentioned, الدالة على كونه تعالى. These three arguments for saying that Allah is knowledgeable. يدل على عمومية علمه بكل معلوم. They indicate that Allah, yes. وتقريره. And I see. Yes. Again, I say yes. Sometimes, if I say yes, it's in answer to the question. Okay.
I don't even have like tape.
Okay. So we have the other way around also. وتقريره أن كل موجود سواه ممكن. Everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mumkin, contingent. وكل ممكن مستند إليه. And every mumkin is dependent on him, attributed to him. Therefore, we cannot think of anything that exists unless it's depending on him, and therefore it's known. فَيَكُونُ عَالِمًا بِهِ. Allah is alim of everything that exists. سَوَاءٌ كَانَ جُزْئِيًّا أَوْ كُلِّيًّا. Whether it is juz'i or kulli. Of course, you may say, what do you mean by juz'i and kulli? He is talking about things that exist outside and things that exist in our mind. Because outside we cannot have kulli. Outside is always juz'i. Even if you say outside is juz'i, you have to be careful. Not juz'i as a concept. Juz'i in the sense that it is something which has individuation, fardiyat, tashakhus. Yeah, because kulli and juz'i are two types of mafhum. But if you want to extend the meaning of juz'i to include individual beings, that's fine. But kulli can never be outside. Unless you are talking about kulliya tabi'i, which exists with the individual. That's another issue. So, he wants to say anything which is either in our mind or in outside, anything which is has wujud al-zihni or wujud al-khariji, must be known to him. سواء كان جزئيا أو كليا وسواء كان موجودا قائما بذاته. Also, it can be جوهر, which is قائم بذاته, or عرضا قائما بغيره. It can be accident, which relies on something else. سواء كان موجودا في الأعيان, وجود خارجي, أو متعقلا في الأذهان, or وجود ذهني, something which is mind. Therefore, this is why I said he says كلي. لأن وجود الصورة في الذهن من الممكنات. Don't be surprised why we are talking about وجود الذهني, why we talk about concept in the mind. Because existence of these things in the mind is also contingent. Therefore, even this image to exist in your mind depends on God. وسواء كانت الصورة الذهنية صورة أمر وجوديا أو عدميا ممكن أو ممتنع. This surah, for example, can be surah of sharikul bari, partner for God. But the surah of sharikul bari is mumkin. The image is mumkin. Sharikul bari is muhal, is impossible. But the surah is mumkin. Yeah? You remember Hamla Awwali, Hamla Shayir. So what is muhal is not the surah, is what the surah refers to, which is sharikul bari. Okay? So don't be surprised. Don't tell me I can have mental image of something which is not mumkin. I can have mental image of God, which is wajib, or mental image of sharikul bari, which is impossible. You say no matter. Any image is in itself mumkin. For example, because it is kayf nafsani or whatever. Anyway, we discussed, So it's mumkin. سواء كانت الصورة الذهنية صورة أمر وجودي أو عدمي. It can be the image for something which is existential or something which doesn't exist. For example, knowledge of your image of jahl, your image of faqr, poverty, something adam, or you mental image of, for example, God having no partner, no time. Mumkin or mumtana. It can be something which is possible or impossible. So anything which exists outside or anything which exists in our mind is known to him. فلا يعزب عن علمه شيء من الممكنات ولا من الممتنعات. Nothing can be falling outside his knowledge, whether it be contingent or even whether it be mumtana. You may say mumtana is nothing to know, but we said before, we mean mafhum of mumtana. Because remember we said al-ma'dumul mutlaq la yukhbaru an. But this is the concept of ma'dumul mutlaq, which is not ma'dumul mutlaq. وَالتَّغَايُرُ اِعْتِبَارِيٌّ. Then he says, now we want to go into objections and questions that may be raised against our arguments. Like when we talked about qudra, first we argued and then we try to answer questions which are raised or are anticipated. أقول, Allama Hilli says, لما فرغ من الاستدلال على كونه تعالى عالما بكل معلوم. When he's finished with the argument that Allah is aware of everything, شرع في الجواب. He started, شرع is not شرع in the sense of legislation, شرع in the sense of beginning, شروع, not شرع لكم من الدين. شرع في الجواب عن الاعتراضات. He started answering to the objections. الواردة عن المخالفين. The objections that are raised by the opponents. وابتدأ باعتراض من نفى علمه تعالى بذاته. The first thing that Khadir Rahmatullah alayhi started to answer is the objection raised by some people that they say God cannot know himself. نفى علمه تعالى بذاته. They say God cannot know himself. ولم يذكر الاعتراض صريحا. But he didn't mention the problem, the objection. He just gave the answer because he said وَالتَّغَايُرُ اعتباري. He doesn't say what was the objection. Maybe there is a lesson that sometimes you don't need to say that there is such a problem and then try to answer. Sometimes it's better just to give the answer, because there is a chance that you can create a question and then you are not able to answer it. Or maybe you create the question, this person then leaves. Yeah? His mind goes away. So the question remains in mind, but the answer doesn't remain in mind. And also, never raise a question today and say we discuss it next week, because maybe this person doesn't come next week. So he makes sure that he mentions the answer. Yes? So لم يذكر الاعتراض صريحا. He has not mentioned the objection صريحا, but you can by implication understand that what type of thing he had in his mind that he mentioned this. You know, you cannot guess what was the question. بل أجاب عنه. He just replied. وحذفه للعلم. And because the question then was known, he didn't mention it. Okay, now let us explain what was the question. وتغرير الاعتراض. So Allama Hildi now wants to say what was the question or objection. العلم إضافة بين العالم والمعلوم. Knowledge is a relation between alim and ma'lum. So we have three things. We have alim, the knower, ma'lum, what is known, and then the relation between these two is knowledge, is ilm. أو مستلزم للإضافة. Or you can say knowledge is a kind of being which has relation inside, involves a relation. So either it's a matter of relation or it involves relation. وعلى كلا التقديرين. If it's a matter of relation or it is a relation, so either it's a relation or involves relation, it needs two sides at least. Yeah? Not alim, ma'lum. Then how can something be both alim and ma'lum? Where does relation go? We need two separate things, alim and ma'lum. If something is going to know himself, then relation would be problematic. But the answer is clear. التغاير اعتباري. This difference is in our consideration. Allah is alim from one aspect and is ma'lum from another aspect. There is no problem. Don't worry too much. Yeah? This person has thought that relation must be like a distance, that alim must be 1 mile away from ma'lum. No, you can know about yourself. Every day you know many things about even yourself. Don't be surprised. So Allah from one aspect is alim, from another aspect is ma'lum, and there is a relation between Allah as alim to Allah as ma'lum. No problem. وعلى كلا التقديرين فلا بد من المغايرة. This is a objection. There must be مغايرة, a kind of otherness بين العالم والمعلوم. ولا مغايرة في علمه بذاته. But we don't have any kind of otherness, any kind of problem in Allah's knowledge. So you have to explain it differently. والجواب, the answer is this. أن المغايرة قد تكون بالذات. Sometimes مغايرة is بالذات, means two things are essentially different. Like, for example, cause and effect. Cause and effect should be different. Or father and child, different. But وقد تكون بنوع من الاعتبار. otherness can sometimes be just because of consideration. From one perspective, one aspect, one haysiyya is the other side of relation, and the same thing from another perspective is the other side of the relation. Like when I am criticizing myself, yeah, there is no problem. Don't say there must be a nisbah between the one who criticized and the one who is criticized. So yes, but from one aspect I am criticizing, and from another aspect I am being criticized. It's not a problem. وَقَدْ تَكُونُ بِنَوْعٍ مِنَ الْإِعْتِبَارِ مُغَايِرَةً can sometimes be with some consideration. وَهَا هُنَا ذَاتُهُ تَعَالَى. And here, in our case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's essence, مِنْ حَيْثُ إِنَّهَا عَالِمَةٌ. So the essence of Allah, insofar as is alim, is different from essence of Allah, مِنْ حَيْثُ إِنَّهَا مَعْلُومَةٌ. Insofar as it's known. وَذَلِكَ كَافٍ فِي تَعَلُّقِ الْعِلْمِ. And this is enough for us. We don't need two things which are totally away from each other, one be alim and ma'lum. You just need to make sure that you have two dimensions, alim and ma'lum. Okay, so alhamdulillah, we finished this objection. Inshallah, we have to study another objection next week. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.